Am I the only person in the history of this country who failed to read a separate piece in high school? I have told so many people this week that I was reading a separate piece, and they all say, oh yeah, I read that in high school. And I'm thinking, where was I? I did not read this in high school. Did I just skip that? What about, did you read it in high school? Let me know. I wonder if I'm the only one and somehow I missed that. But it's funny because as I've told people that I was reading it, people have very strong opinions about this book. They either love it or they hate it. Most people really did not like it. But then I have often said that I think classics are wasted on high schoolers. I think sometimes to appreciate a classic, you have to have a little bit of experience under your belt to really be able to grasp it and to just really enjoy it. I'm still pondering what I think makes a really great book. And while I didn't really enjoy this book, if I'm being honest, I guess I didn't enjoy it. It made me feel anxious in a lot of places, and it's pretty dark. And I tend to gravitate towards, I guess, more feel-good books. But while I didn't necessarily enjoy it, I have to say it is a great book. It is a very good book. I had wondered what a book about, 16, 17, 18-year-old boys who are in a boarding school in the 40s would, how that would relate to me, a middle-aged woman in the 21st century. I thought, is this even going to be something that I enjoy at all? But while I found the book difficult to read at points, and by difficult I mean not hard reading. I mean, it's easy to understand and easy to follow the story. Like I said, it made me anxious in certain parts, and it was dark. But while I found it difficult to read at certain points, I am actually very glad that I read this book. It begins when the narrator, his name is Gene, goes back to visit his school. He has been out of the school for 15 years, and he goes back to visit it. And the entire book is basically, it is a reflection on his time there, particularly his last couple of years. He begins his reflection thinking about the summer of 1942. That was the summer before his junior year. And he talks about all the things that they did that summer. It was kind of a free summer for them in some ways. The boys who were a year older than them were beginning to think about the war and being drafted or enlisting. And so this was kind of their last summer of boyhood, I guess, before they had to begin thinking about very serious things. And they talked about the war and stuff, but they knew that, this was a time they were a little bit free, and it was summer. And so everyone was kind of focused on the people the students who were really training to go into the war. So they kind of had a lot of freedom that summer. People weren't paying quite as much attention. They broke a lot of rules. There didn't seem to be a lot of rules, but the rules that there were, they broke them, which was part of the anxiety in me. And I remember, I guess it hasn't been that long ago, or it doesn't seem like it when I think about being a teenager and doing foolish and dangerous things. But now on this side of it, I'm looking back and saying, no, don't do it. Don't go there. Don't do that. So this summer, they did all the things like, they played sports, they went swimming, they had a swimming hole, they had this secret society. One of the initiation rituals was to jump off of a tree limb into the river. And then but this summer of 42 was a summer that was, they were boys, but it was kind of their last bit of being boys. That summer changed their lives. The events of that summer changed their lives irrevocably. And so again, Gene is reflecting on that summer. He's reflecting on the years following it and how those years changed their lives. After that summer, they continued to do boy things, snowball fights. They had like this Winter Olympics where they did skiing and just all kinds of things. But he goes from being a boy to a man through the course of this book. I have heard it said that, or I've read a review, I guess it said this book is completely irrelevant to teenagers of today, to boys of today. They could not relate in any way, but honestly, I could not disagree more. I think it is so relevant. Yes, teenagers today spend their time doing different things. I'll admit that. I know that. But they are still human. And the thing about this book is the humanity in it, just raw humanity. And that is so relatable to anybody today. There's that inexplicable anger that you have. There's no reason to feel angry, but you do. And there's bitterness, and there's jealousy, and there's rage, and there's sadness and sorrow and fear and anxieties and insecurities. All of the things that teenagers experience today, these boys experienced them in this book. And since this book is a reflection of Gene's experiences, it shows how he went from being this insecure schoolboy to a relatively healthy man. And I think those reflections are so helpful for anyone who is navigating those kinds of emotions. And let's face it, this book is not just for teenagers, it's for all of us. I can absolutely relate to those very same emotions and those very same feelings. And that may be one reason why the book is so uncomfortable to read. And yet, just because something is uncomfortable doesn't mean that we should put it down, that we should shy away from it. On the contrary, sometimes we need to push through the uncomfortable to read it and allow its words to soak in and to affect us. Admittedly, there are good times to do this and not such good times. There are times when we need more of a comfort read, and this is not a comfort read. But there are times that we need to push through the uncomfortable and read things that actually help us to grow and to reflect and to think about our own experiences. I was curious to see if this book had had any pushback, if it had been banned in any places, and surprisingly it has not been. It has been examined on a number of occasions, primarily I guess for the dark nature of it and for the fact that I guess it does have some homosexual themes in it. But I am not a proponent of banning books. I think books should be available for people to read. They help us to, like I said, they help us to reflect and think about our own life experiences through the eyes of someone else. We can walk around and I've said we can walk around in somebody else's shoes for a little while, and it helps speak to our own lives. The last chapter was especially touching for me. I think I cried a little bit. I won't share about that for obvious reasons. I don't want to give anything away, but I thought it was especially touching. And my son, who read this in high school, was one of the ones who didn't like it. And I said, you really ought to give it another chance now that you're a little bit older. He said he might. We'll see. But for next week, I actually am going to read a book, another classic. This one is almost 100 years old. It was published in 1926. And it's very different from any of the books that I have read this year so far. So if you want to see what I'm reading for next week, I hope you will join me. I will be posting a video about that next Sunday. And if you are interested in classics, I will leave linked above some of the videos about the classics that I have read in the past few months. I read a book each week, and if that interests you, I hope you'll consider subscribing. Either way, thank you for spending some time with me today, and I look forward to seeing you in a future video. Take care and have a great week.